Hi, in this tutorial we're going to use Photoshop CC 2021 to go through Classroom in a Book Chapter 6, all about masks and channels. So in this one you see we're going to take this model and go ahead and put her on a background. We're going to play with a few things like creating a shadow, bending her head, changing the color of her glasses, kind of taking her off the background. So let's go ahead and go into Bridge. You can see what we've got here is our end versus our start. So you can see there's pretty stark differences. Let's grab our start file, do a right click, and do an open with in Photoshop. Let's do our image and our image size. Take a peek. So it's 5 inches by 5 inches. Definitely not big enough for a full size piece of paper, but not bad if you're doing a small tabloid or a social media thing. I'm going to go ahead and bump that up to 300 just so we get in the practice. All right, then we're going to do a file save as. Let's go ahead and do a first initial last name underscore Photoshop Classroom in a Book chapter number 6 and save. So when we I got a different one. When we are working on masks, go ahead and think of it as how you would paint something. So if you wanted to paint something and preserve one of the colors underneath, you would go ahead and mask that off with either paper or tape. We're going to do the same type of thing here in Photoshop. All right, try this again. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is go into make sure we're in our model layer. We want to go into select. We're going to come down here to select and mask. So select and mask is going to give us a few different view options. So one right now has kind of on an onion skin, which means it's kind of a transparent background. It's not quite what we want. So I'm going to go over here properties. I'm going to kind of change it over to overlay. So it makes it a lot more stark. It makes it easier to identify the parts we're going to mask and not mask. So let's go up here to our options bar and go ahead and tell it to be select subject and tell it to go ahead and select our, pick the main thing in this image. This is a relatively easy image because it is a very stark background. So it's pretty easy for Photoshop to figure it out. Well, you can see down here we did miss a few places, so we are going to go ahead and fix that. So let's grab our quick selection tool and a size of about 15. And we're going to drag that over the missed areas and not grabbing the background. So I'm going to do a Control Plus and zoom in just a little bit. Grab my space bar in my hand because I want to bring the rest of the shirt in. I'm going to go ahead. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. We're going to add more refinements here in a little bit. So you can see I'm picking up parts of the background, which I don't necessarily want. We'll go ahead and take those back out. All right, so I fixed that. Let's do our minus on our quick selection. Take and make our brush bigger. So I'm using those square keys by the letter P. Make that a little bit bigger. Put that background back in. All right, so I'm going to do a control and add just a little bit more back in there. So it looks a little bit funky. All right, let's do a Control Plus. Clean it up just a little bit more. Just kind of transparent a little bit through here. All right, so let's do a Control minus and zoom back out. It's not exactly perfect yet, but we're going to play with it a little bit more as we go along. All right, so the next thing, we want to look at view on layers. So let's go ahead and view on layers. We can kind of see how our selection is going to work. So you kind of see right here, I don't like that bit of selection. And I've got a few issues here. It should be kind of orange instead of that gray, and I've lost part of her hair. So we're going to go ahead and refine that just a little bit. Let's go back on our overlay. Let's do a Control Plus and zoom back in. Or we can grab our zoom tool here and kind of zoom in. And I'm going to grab that refine edge, which looks kind of like a monster hand to me. And I'm going to go ahead and drag over here and see if it gives me a little bit of a better edge. No, I'm not really happy with that, but we will fix it. All right, so let's go ahead with our minus and say, okay, give me back part of this. All right. We missed a little bit in here. Nope, we didn't. Add that back minus. Let's add a little bit more. All right, let's do this. Kind of go in here, kind of teaching it what to show through. All right, so now let's go ahead and I'll use my space bar. And I want to go ahead and make sure I get this to go away. So I'm going to make sure I'm on my refine edge. And let's make sure it's on the plus. And we want to come over this little bit of hair. And it should turn kind of red. Okay. So now it's transparent again. Let's go ahead and grab refine hair up here. I should be able to bring some of this in a little bit better. A little bit better. And I'm going to take my refine hair off. All right, let's grab that just a little bit more. So now let's look at it again on layers. So I'm getting that hair back in. I've now made that background work a little bit better. This is doing some weird stuff, so maybe we want to put that shirt back in a little bit. Okay. And let's go ahead. Oh, got way too much background popping through there. Let's fix that. Oh, let's do minus. Definitely make this shirt and not background. All right. So that's not too bad. Let's do control minus and look what we've got so far. Okay, so not too bad. We're going to go ahead and refine it even a little bit more. Let's go ahead and do a view on black and white, and you can get a really good idea of what you are including and not including. So you might want to go here and let's see if we can fix that section just a little bit more. Oh, so I'm going to do control plus, zoom up, see if I can fix that just a little bit more. I'm losing. I'm making it worse. I'm going to undo. Control Z a couple times. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and add some global adjustments. So let's go ahead to our view menu over here. Let's go back to view on layers. And I'm still not happy with that. So I'm going to do a minus and take out that little bit of halo right there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead on our global refinements. So we're in here. We're going to go here under global refinements. And on smooth, I want to check it and make it 5. I want to come down to contrast and make it 20. And I want to do a shift edge. And we're going to make it minus 15. All right, so now let's take another look at what we've got right now. Let's go ahead and zoom and to an alt, so I can zoom out a little bit, or do a view, fit on screen. So we're doing better. Oh, what happened up here? Not happy with that at all. So let's go ahead to our refine edge and our plus and see if we can fix this hair. Turn that refine hair off. There we go. Now let's add that hair back in just a little bit more. My monster hand. That's better. Oh, we got some issues down here. Oh, let's change it to minus. Okay. Put a little bit of our shirt back in. I'm going to put more shirt back in. All right, so that's much better. All right, so in our global refinements, we're pretty happy with it. So we're going to go ahead and complete the mask. We're going to go look at our output settings. So in our output settings, we're going to go ahead and click in and zoom in just a little bit. So let's grab our zoom, kind of just zoom in a little bit. So we've got about 200 or so %. And now we're going to go ahead and hit the decontaminate colors to kind of get rid of some of those color fringes that happen sometimes. And we want to go ahead and set that amount to about 25%. or you can just type it in there. And now we want to go ahead and we want to output to, we want a new layer with layer mask. And let's say OK. And you can always go back in and correct your mask, play with it a little bit more. So you can kind of take a peek at turn our layer off, turn it back on, look at our model, kind of see how it worked. I think we're looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and do a Control S save.